All right, welcome back, guys. I'm super excited about this one. This week, we're going to talk a little bit about if-else statements and case statements. So I want to jump into those, and I want to show you guys some super fun stuff to do with those, okay? So a quick tip, by the way, if you have your Sublime text open here, you can hold down Control and hit N, and that'll open a brand new file for you. Just a little quick tip. I do that all the time. And then, there's also Control C and Control V, which are your copy and paste buttons. So we're going to jump right in here. I'm going to go here below title. I'm going to type my script here. I don't need that type in there. I'm not sure what that type is for. I've never used it. It could be like you're supposed to use it, but I've never used it. So when you start your function, call it test, call it whatever, it doesn't really matter. Let's jump right in. So you're going to have a couple of things here. You're going to have some lets. Let's do like let number one value. Yeah, we'll just do let value. And I'm not sure what it's going to be quite yet. So we'll enter a number here, and then we will do a button. And then we'll make sure we put an on click here. Whoa, whoopsies. On click. And then we want to make sure we call the test function here. Okay, and so we have this value now. So we have this value, we click the button, it takes in our value. What do we want to do with this value? So let's create an if statement, okay? And a lot of people know what ifs are. They're very common, very well used. An if statement chooses between two different outcomes. It looks at what your if statements are and your if statement is, and it chooses between that statement whether or not that statement is true. So a lot of people will refer to if statements as Boolean questions or Boolean values, and a Boolean, which I'm just going to type here, that's how you spell Boolean, the word Boolean, and a Boolean value is simply just a fancy way to say true or false. So if something is a Boolean value, that means it's a true or false value. It's nothing. It's not a 3. It's not a word. It's not a GameCube. It's true or false, and those are the only two options. It can also be a 1 or a 0. Those also are considered true and false. If you're dealing with numbers, a 1 is true and a 0 is false. So you put a statement inside these parentheses here with your if. The statement you want to find out or test if it is true or not. So we have a value, we want someone to type in a number, so we could say something like if value is equal to. Now that's an important character to know, the difference between those two right there and just having just one equal sign. 2 equal signs versus 1 equal sign. Now the 1 equal sign is an assignment character. So if I say let value equal this, you are assigning whatever is in this here to the value. If you put a double equals, that is just verifying if value is equal to something. So I say if value is equal to 5, for example, then you can say something like alert. You can say alert. The value is 5. There we go. I didn't even capitalize that. There we go. The value is 5. So this just verifies if 5 is if I can speak, if value is equal to 5. And so with each if statement, you could potentially just leave the if statement like that, but you always want an else statement for it to fall back on. And the else statement doesn't need a parentheses to tell it anything, because it's just bouncing off of this. It says if value is equal to 5, then do this statement. If it's not equal to 5, it'll skip this statement and move right on to the else statement and do what's in the else statement. If it is equal to 5, it'll do this alert and it won't do the else. Does that make sense? Okay. So if it's anything other than 5, you can say something like, let's do this. The value is something other than 5. The audacity. Oh, and don't forget, I forgot these just now. Your semicolons there at the end. And so that's it. It'll just alert those things if and else. That's it. That's all it has to do. It doesn't really print anything. By the way, if you use alert, it'll just pop up a window. It won't, you don't need your div if you're doing like alerts, because alerts will just pop up in the window. So if we hit save, again, I keep forgetting to save my HTML at the very, very beginning. We can call it test. Just recall it test. Just say you want to replace it. Sure. That file wasn't like super important or anything. So we can come over here and we will open test. You see those words blinking up there? Yeah. I think it means my computer's thinking. It's thinking really hard. Okay. Let's open up this file. Oh, I didn't tell the button to say anything. So the button's just there. Let's put something on the button. I forgot. Let's put something on the button. We'll call this button. Oh. You know what? I'm leaving it. Screw it. I'm leaving it. Okay, so we got it a lowercase b there, but that's okay. Enter number. If we enter 5 and we hit button, it's not doing anything. Let's find out why it's not doing anything. Oh, that's why. I spelled float wrong. Save. There we go. That should have done it. Huh. All right, once again, we are going to use F12, and we're going to enter the developer window so I can find out what I did, because I don't know what happened here. If there are errors, you can also just look right here and it'll tell you that there is an error. You look here, what does it say? Text is not defined. Okay, we know that it is. We know that it's right here. Oh, did I put text? Oh, I typed text. Oh! I thought I typed test. Okay, there's your error. Now, there are times, I just want to warn you about this. There are times that it will say something, even if you spelled this word correctly and it did, link correctly, it might say that still. It might say test is not defined if you have some errors in here. Like, for example, if this very first value or this last value or something like that didn't have a semicolon at the end, for some reason, it all of a sudden thinks test is not defined, This value, this function is not defined, which isn't true. It is there, but it is true to a sort. But anyway, whatever. Just be on the lookout for that. If it says, test is not defined, but you're looking at it, you're like, but hey, look at it. I put it in parentheses. It's right here. It says it's supposed to be. Check for semicolons at the end. Check for missing parentheses at the ends of things. Those kinds of things can throw it off. So keep an eye on those things. But let's jump back into the file itself. Hit refresh. We're going to enter 5, and that symbol went away, meaning that it fixed the problem. Perfect. Look, the value is 5. If I enter 6, the value is something other than 5. This is what alert does. Alert brings up a window just like this. So we don't need a developer window anymore. If you want to change that to something else, you could use your document here if you want to. You could say something like the document.getElementById and use the div output and make it equal something. You could do that as well, like we've done before. This was just a quick and easy way to do it. There's other things you can do too, other than just this equal to. You can do if value is greater than 5. You could say the value is greater than 5, and you could say it is less than 5, so you change this less than 5. Whoopsies, there's 2 of those. Okay, so you hit save, and if you do the same thing over again, it'll give you those values. So if you hit 6, hit button, the value is greater than 5. Now, I also just thought of something. You also probably need a statement that if you, well, no, that's fine. That's not true. Okay, we'll do this because if you enter 5 on the dot, if you have just a statement like this, the value is not greater than 5 because it is 5. So that's where the computer draws a line there. The value is not 5. It is not greater than 5. It is 5. So it will jump to this else statement. And if you type in 5 and it says the value is less than 5, that's why, because of that. But if you put an equal after, so less than or equal to, if it is equal to 5, it will also do this statement as well. I just wanted to throw that in there just in case you did something like that. But then you can also just let me refresh in case I didn't already do that. And then you hit button. The value is less than 5, So you can do those kinds of statements in your if-else statements. There is one more thing I want to teach you guys about these if-else statements. And we can just use the same example. So we can say if value is greater than 5, and then you can say something like if else is another statement, and this one you do need parentheses because you need to tell it another statement, if else. And this is like a secondary check, So you do something like it's equal to 5. So now you have something that says the value is 5. You could just do like that. The value is 5. Now I would put another else statement after that, and then say like the value is, whatever, it doesn't matter. Alert. This is my favorite alert. This is my favorite alert. I mean, I don't know. I'm just making stuff up at this, writing stuff down at this point. But these are the types of things you're going to need to know for these upcoming things. The upcoming challenge I'm going to give you, and to learn more about HTML and JavaScript. So in JavaScript, this is how you write your if-else statements. And notice that each statement needs one of these. Now, some people claim, at least some people claim this, that you don't need this as long as this statement right here is only one line. So I have a one-line statement right here, so theoretically I could take these brackets off and it would still work fine. Now, I haven't had any luck with that. I've had people tell me that left and right. I've read that in textbooks everywhere, that you could leave these off if it's a one-line statement like this. I've never had any luck with that, ever. I've never had luck with that. I've always had it throw me errors and stuff until I put these brackets back in, these curly brackets, and then it works magically. So just out of habit, out of practice, I put them in there every time just to make sure that the function runs. I put them in. I also think it looks clean. Okay. I don't remember if I brought this up in the past video. I think I did. How you can put these brackets on the same line. I'm pretty sure I did. If I didn't, let me just talk about that real quick. And you can skip over this spot, or I'll fast forward over it if I have already talked about this. But if value is equal to me, else if value is equal to you, else, my favorite alert, okay. It was me all along. Whoops, man, these typos today. Let's do one more just for fun. We can do as many, here's another thing, you can do as many else if else statements as you want. You can do as many as you want, it doesn't matter. Else if Agatha. You can say alert. It was Agatha all along. Okay. I don't know how many people are actually going to get that reference or not, but it's just silly. It's a silly little reference. Okay, so this isn't going to be a number. It's going to be a text. I like to change that. So you type in different text, and you can say, enter a number. And here you can even say, you can put in parentheses what you want people to say. Me, you, Agatha, the, or other. You could be like, who was it? Me, you, Agatha, or other. And if you type others, you can go to the else statement. So this is just fun, you know. Who was it? You can be like, oh, it was me. Oh, shoot, of course, every freaking time. I did it wrong the entire time. Go away. What are you doing? Go away. Why? Cortana just loves opening itself. So this is something I don't understand. I don't know why Cortana loves to just open itself randomly. Like, it just decides, like, hey, I'm here. Like, I don't even say the name. I don't ask for it. It just is here. And it won't go away for a while until it, like, completely closes down. Anyway, there we go. Perfect. It was me all along. Okay, so that was my issue. I didn't realize that, and I can't believe it took me that long to realize that it's not if else, it's else if. I was being silly. It's not. So anyway, the value is else if, not if else. For some reason, I was doing things backwards. So it says else if, and if you put if first, it's just thinking it's a brand new statement instead of considering it the same as this. It just moves on to a new statement. Anyway, that's an explanation for another day. I just can't believe that took me like 5 minutes to figure out that I had written that backwards. And even when I first looked at it, it didn't look wrong. So type U. Oh, right, because I didn't capitalize the Y. Okay, there you go. It was U all along. So you can do all of these, and if you type it wrong, and if you put like the lowercase u, it'll say my favorite alert. That's what if-else statements do. They just check to see if a certain statement is true or not. Now, there's one more way I want to show you guys how you do this, and this isn't going to take very long. But if you have a variable that is already printing a true or false statement, then you can just leave it as is. So, for example, if you wanted to say so if value is true, you can type that. If value is equal to true, do this. But there's another thing you could do instead. And it's a little bit quicker. I just want to give you this little tip just in case you are in the future looking at if-else statements and values, if they are true or not. You know, if instead of me typing in something for value, if you have value as a Boolean expression already, for example, you have a bunch of tests to make sure that it is it or not, you could say, here, let's just change this one. Yeah, so if you have this value here and I can't think of all the expressions in which you would use them, but for example, you have some other if-else statements or something like that, and if the person types this, then make value true, okay? And you just want to check if value is true. You don't have to type it all like this. You can just type that. If value, and it already assumes that you mean if value is equal to true. It assumes that. And then you can say else, do this. So if value is true, because you just type if value. That's it. That's all I wanted to say about that. You can cut it down like that if you're looking for a true or false statement coming from your value. Now, if you have somebody type the word true or not, you're still going to have to put that if you were looking for someone to type the word true in if you had it as it was before. But that's all for if-else statements. Really quick, we're going to talk about one more thing. Because I've spent a lot of time here just, trying to figure that out. We're going to talk about case statements. Now, case statements are really interesting because they're slightly different from an if-else statement, but they do essentially the same thing. So you could say something like, you say case, well, not case, I'm sorry, you call it switch. Yeah, a lot of people call these switch statements as well. Switch or case statements, whichever one you want to call them, they're both the same. So you put switch and then you put down whatever you want the value to be, whatever you're looking for. So in this case, we have this called value. So we're going to type value in there. Let's go in here and change this back to what it was before, where we would say document.get element by ID, and then dot value. We're going to get v. We can just keep it there. Let's just keep it at text for now. Okay, so you have a switch of value. So you're looking at the whatever value is in, well, whatever value is in value, whatever is in this variable that you typed in, we're gonna look at that, okay? So then you start with an opening and closing bracket. And you do something called case. Now case can change depending on what you are looking for. So here you put some of those, and then you could say like, oh, well, we're looking for me, you, Agatha, whatever. Case me. All right, perfect. And then you open it with another bracket like this. Again, this is another one where they say that if it's a one-line code, you cannot put the brackets, but I've, again, never had luck with that. I've always needed to use the brackets. And so case me, you could put the same thing. You could put, okay, alert. And you could do an alert, and you could say, me. And then this is the last one. This is probably the most important part about switch statements. When you do a switch statement, you must have a default statement. And default works exactly the same as your else statement. It gives it a default statement to back up on. So if for any reason, oh my gosh, if for any reason it doesn't work, if for any reason like nothing works, it needs a default statement to back up on. So you always need your default statement. Do not forget your default statement or this doesn't work. But this works basically the same way as an if statement in this sense, that it goes, just put value. You don't put if value is equal to, switch value is equal to, you don't do that. You just put switch, and then you put the name of the variable that you're going to be checking. And then you put each case in which it could be. It could be me, it could be you, it could be Agatha, it could be anything. So you go through and you pick each one of those. Case this, case this, case this, and what you do with each case. So if it were me, you would print this. If it were you, it would do this. If it were Agatha, it would do this. And if none of those are true, then it goes to the default statement and does what's in the default statement. All right, guys, so lastly, your challenge activity is to make a file similar to the one we've made, either with if statements or with case statements, it doesn't matter, but either one of those two, make a file that has to do with the weather. So the file is basically going to say, going to ask you what is the weather today, or what is the weather like, and then you are going to type in whether it's hot, it's cold, snowy, all those different things. And I'm going to show you, here's this list of things that you are going to have it print out as. You don't have to follow this per the letter or anything like that, but this is just to give you an idea that if someone is to type rainy, or if someone is typing sunny, or if someone is typing this, you can print things out like this. It'll tell you what shoes to wear. It's a pretty simple program. It's not super challenging or difficult or anything, but that's the challenge, is to do that. And then lastly, the second program for you guys this week will be to make a math type thing. Basically what it is you have 4 boxes, one for a number, one for a symbol operator, and then one for another number, and then the last one's going to be your answer. So basically what you're trying to achieve here is by using if else or case statements, use those to see if the person entered the right answer. So you're going to need quite a few variables here. You're going to need those first first and third box to take in numbers, the middle one to take in a character, and depending on that character that comes in, depends on whether you multiply or you add or you subtract or do any of those things. And then you need to figure out what the answer to that is, and then check and see if the answer that the user typed in is the same as what the real answer is. It's a little bit confusing, a little challenging. That's why I'm showing you guys a picture of it and how it works. But this is how it works. Just have fun. Do what you guys need to do to get there. Use Google. If you guys have questions you want to ask me particularly, or you want me to release another video explaining a little bit more about this section, a little bit more in detail about the math one and how I did it, then let me know in the comments down below. I check every day, and I will answer any questions you guys have if I know the answer, because I'm not all-knowing or anything. But thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next week. All right, see ya.